At Baseball Mapper, we always want to bring you closer to baseball. And so, something we've decided to try and do to include in our videos is an inside the ballpark interview, finding people from baseball, whether it's players, coaches, event staff, different people who are in the ballpark, a part of the everyday entertainment experience, and get to know them a little bit more. And for our first episode, what we wanted to do was talk to a player. And so we sat down with Ryan Osborne of the independent Pecos League and talk a little bit about him and what his experience has been like this summer while playing in 2021.
So my name is Ryan Osborne. Everyone calls me Ozzy. So throughout indie ball, Ozzy's just kind of a name that gets blown up. It's pretty sick. I'm from Long Island, New York. I currently live in New York City. I'm a college coach out there. There's my living situation there. I'm a right-handed pitcher. I started off my career as an outfielder and then, got to live and survive, change positions, move on to a middle reliever. And I've been starting more this year than I have in the past 3 seasons. So, yeah.
That's cool. So you mentioned you've kind of transitioned to middle reliever, but you've gotten a lot of starting role. And I've noticed that even on social media, you talk a lot about that. Is that just kind of the situation with the current team you're on, or has that kind of been all year long?
It's this current situation where I'm on now. When I was with the Dogecoin and then when I was with Roswell, I was strictly a relief pitcher. I did want to start because I have a mentality of a starter to go out there, eat up some innings so our bullpen can be okay. And, I got the opportunity to start a few games out here the past 2.5 weeks with Wasco, and I'm just kind of running with it. So, I'll go on a few days rest. My arm's good. And then I'll go back to the relief in the bullpen for an inning before I start again. So that's
I feel like it's hard for these teams to find pitching. Is that where you're finding your role here, is where, there's a pitching shortage and you're able to fill it?
No, absolutely. So my biggest thing is that, I go on it and there are guys who, end up leaving for certain circumstances, financially, independent ball, guys have kids, guys are real estate agents, guys are, a whole bunch of different other jobs. I just want to make sure you guys caught all of that, right? Because I just got something else.
Yeah, it was going through.
I like the little, the bio photo of you, just sitting in the dugout.
Yeah, I think when the connection gets rough.
That's my coaching days, man. I just got a random call. I'm like, nah, this is important, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
hey,
absolutely.
Just to follow up on that question, I heard that during COVID, a lot of players ended up dropping out. They couldn't bridge that year of not playing, and so it just ended it for them. Have you seen that? Is that a reality?
Yeah, so that's affected a lot of guys, especially when the MLB dropped a whole bunch of minor league programs. Independent ball went more on the rise. So new leagues were starting up, and a lot of guys just quit baseball. They said, I'm not going to deal with this situation. It's not going to be a real official year, in my opinion, so I'm going to be done. I took advantage of that. I went down to Coastal Baseball Park in Houston, where it was called Houston 2020, which is the Pecos League bubble. So, Single A has a bubble, high indie ball, Pacific, all around, they have different bubbles. So it was another way to get about 35, 40 games in within a confined area, like the USPBL has their own one field. So it was just a lot easier for me to get an opportunity. And that's where I made my connections. I got called up to the Liberation, and now I'm back in the Pecos. So I've seen it a lot. Yeah, a lot of guys have just up and dropped baseball because of whole COVID. Oh, I'm going to go take advantage of work and do that. Well, that's just your choice. It is what it is. I'm going to respect everyone's choice. But if you take advantage of an opportunity to go play pro ball, go take it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome you've been able to capitalize on that. It's rough for, these players had to drop out, but good on you, man.
Yeah, and that was one of the things. We wanted to know how you kind of got into the Pecos League, so that kind of explains that. But even this year, you have kind of transitioned from one team to the next. So what really happened? You know, I know just, you know, since we follow each other on social media, I know you were started the year in Roswell and now you're out in Wasco. What happened there?
So what happened was, I was starting off in the bullpen. You know, I was doing pretty good. Unfortunately, you know, I don't want to blame defense, but after my first few outings, I gave up 15 runs and 13 were unearned. So that was kind of a start where, you know, I started to get a little timid at that point, and I was trying to really press in the bullpen. So when I started pressing in the bullpen, I had one bad outing, but I shattered my ribs. So
Ooh.
I broke one rib on top of that, and I bruised the other. So I'm a college coach. I love to throw BP, keeps my arm in shape. I do it for guys for independent ball for years, college guys, lessons. And, you know, we go over to Santa Fe, and in my opinion, they had a Walmart brand L screen, and just kind of went through one of the holes.
Oh, wow.
On the side, you know, knocked the wind out of me for about a day and a half. I thought it was nothing. I go out there. I pitched next day against Colorado Springs and got the win. And then I go out the following day against Alpine and throw 3 shutout innings to find out that my ribs are broken. So my manager was giving me all the time in the world to rest up. He's a great guy. I've known him for about 2 years now. And it got to a point, though, where I was feeling good, but I wasn't seeing much time after that. So I took it upon myself to be like, hey, like, you have to do what's best for your career. You got to be selfish sometimes. And I went up and, you know, we had a conversation, and I ended up going over to Wasco. So I've been here for about a month now, close to the end of the season. We're finishing up the regular season now, still looking for a 4th place playoff spot within a week.
Yeah. Wow. So you like essentially became your own agent.
Right.
You're like, my player needs to get more playing time, and that was it, man. You went and were your best advocate.
Wow. What a warrior.
Pretty much,
That's awesome.
man. I mean, I do that for college guys in general. You know, I coach in a travel organization back home. I love to move guys up, and then when I see the opportunity for myself, I'm like, look, I gotta take advantage and say something, because if I don't, I'm gonna get essentially blackballed out here, and trying to think everything's okay, where you need to do what's best for yourself sometimes in professional baseball.
Yeah. Damn, cool.
Good for you. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, like, you know, I'm just, again, following a little bit of where you've played, and again, knowing that we ran across you out with the Dogecoin in Huntingburg, Indiana, which is like, we've even talked about, this is a hidden gem on the map, man. That is a fun little town.
Right.
You've got, I don't even remember the name of the German restaurant, the Schnitzel Barn or whatever.
Yes.
I went there, Schnitzelbach.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, jeez.
That's
That's
the point.
great.
So
I
yeah,
went there.
so like, you know, you're playing in places like Roswell, pretty small town. I don't know anything about where you're at in California. What are some of the things that you know about these cities you've played in, you know, for indie ball? These are smaller cities. What can you tell people about where you play? Like, what is the town like? What's the experience like?
So right now in Wasco, you know, the experience is, it is a very small town. It doesn't get the most fan base. So we kind of have to essentially fight for that. You know, we go out and we, you know, even wearing our hats around, people ask, and we always tell them, hey, come to our game. We got a game 7:00. We always try to post on social media, make sure some people can come out and know baseball. Because I know people who, actually, I talked to a reporter last week, and the reporter, you know, didn't even know Wasco had a team. And, you know, it was a point to where, okay, now you have to make friends and get the in with him. So he keeps telling his reporter buddies and keep the networking going. So, you know, there would even be, you know, people walking through town, hold the door from somebody, and you could just tell them, like, hey, I play baseball. Do you guys mind coming out to a game? Our schedule is online in the Pecos League. Like, come check it out. So, you know, I really like Wasco. I think I like Wasco a lot better because it is a small town. You know, I grew up in Long Island, New York. I live in the city. I coach in the city, and it's a fast going, like, kind of area. You know, there's every distraction you can is around you. You know, and Wasco, it's like a mom and pop kind of place. Small little food stores here and there, small markets, very quiet. You know, I like the atmosphere, and it keeps me more focused on baseball. And I think that's what goes with the team too, that it keeps us going and lets us, we got to go to the field the next day. We got to do this. We got to do that. Like there is a time where you need to unwind and have a beer or so. But, there's, Bakersfield is about a half hour from us and we play them as well. That's where you have like the mall and everything like that around all the bars. But, I think, we have a little better percentage at home. And I think it shows because we're a little more focused when we're here and all rest up.
That's a good point. So it's kind of almost like the bubble, last year with players kind of being forced to stay to baseball. That's kind of what your experience playing in this smaller market team out in California. So Wasco, California. That's the first I've heard.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to ask. I got a son that plays baseball. Right, he's 11. And he is, to your point about like, with the errors in the field, he's out there pitching. He's beating himself up. How do you battle through, and how do you maybe suggest the kids you coach to battle through those sorts of circumstances?
So because I have to deal with it myself, that's how I'm going to be able to teach my players. So there is a time and place where you have to let off steam, but you don't call anybody out. You don't yell. You keep your composure because the umpires see that. When the umpires see that, he's not necessarily going to give you your calls. And then that negative energy gets surrounded by your team where they feel that. And when they feel that energy, they keep their heads down. Even though you give them another ground ball or something like that, something's bound to happen. So the biggest thing is you keep your composure. I do a deep breathing. My mentality is 1 or 2 breaths before I go to throw my next pitch. Just kind of focus on, staying firm and staying as perfect as you can with the strike zone to best help your guys. Because if they see you grinding like a dog out there, their mentality to help you out is much more greater. And, I tell these kids all the time in lesson, I'm like, look, stuff's going to happen. Guys are going to give up errors. You're going to give up a walk. You're going to give up a bomb. Guys are going to strike out. It's part of baseball. It's how you accept it and move on to your next step. That's going to get you to that higher mentality and that higher level. Because I know guys in independent ball get taken strictly off their dog mentality. That's why I went out and I threw my first complete game since a men's league in 3 years ago yesterday. And there were some mistakes behind me, but that's life. That's going to happen. It's how you approach the next inning. It's how you approach the next pitch. You have faith and you have confidence in guys behind you. And when you believe in them, they'll believe in you, no matter what the case is, no matter what the score is. And guys get moved up that way too. So if you teach them that at a young age, their mentality and their maturity level will be a lot higher to accept the failures in baseball.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. He plays basketball, he plays soccer, but nothing is as mental as baseball, man. Like you can go hide on a basketball court or a soccer field, like just sort of, take a play off or something. But, not when you're on the mound. It's completely different. I appreciate that, man.
I think it's cool. Like, you've got this coach mentality. You can tell. Like, so, one of the things we want to know is kind of what you did in the off season. But you had mentioned, your home is in Long Island, New York. You are literally across the country from home, man. And so you're playing in the summer, whether you were in New Mexico, Roswell, New Mexico, which is everything I know is kind of in the middle of nowhere on purpose, right? And then now you're out in a small town in California, man. Like, what is the hardest thing playing the dog days of summer, being so far away from home?
Wow. That's a very good question. I never thought of it that way. I think the hardest thing is, it's family, man. It really is. Like I'm Irish and Italian. I'm all about my family dinners. I'm all about, going out to events with family, cherishing that. They know I have a job to do. They know this is my job and my career. And, we all accept that. But there are times where, I'll come home and my brother will be off playing college baseball. And I'll be like, well, there goes my throwing partner, and then like I'm out here and I'm missing a lot of stuff back home. I'm missing I'm missing birthdays, I'm missing events, you know, and I want to be there for that. And as much as a Facebook, post is like saying something, it says a lot when you're in person. Like I got a lot more stuff writing back home, and it's just, I miss my college. I miss my boys back there. I miss the rest of my coaching staff, and it's something COVID took away from us last year.
Yeah.
So that was a little harder because I love to give back to the youth. I love to give back to the communities, and that's one of my favorite things about being a professional baseball player is giving back, giving advice, experiences, adventures, whatever they want to hear, to make sure they learn from my mistakes and to make sure, anything's possible with pro ball. Anybody could be a pro baseball player. You just got to put in the work, put in the time, and you got to stay committed.
Yeah. Do you have plans to stay in baseball after you're done playing as a coach or trainer or whatever?
I do. So I'm on my 4th season of coaching college baseball. I'm a hitting coach, recruiting coordinator, outfielder coach at John Jay College in Manhattan, New York, D3. But I also, I coach youth programs anywhere from a hitting coach from 14U to up to college level with the Long Island Strong Academy, which is one of the top travel baseball programs in New York State. I would like to be an assistant manager in professional baseball one day. That's another goal I would like, is to be an assistant manager, to be a manager, to, I know there are some hardships in professional baseball. I know there are some things that are fishy and then some things that are great. And I want to make sure guys have great experience in every opportunity to move forward in baseball, or at least they'll have an opportunity with me.
Ryan's a pretty unique guy. And one of the things that makes him unique is his style of pitching. Now, if you've been watching our videos, you've seen us do a movie review in the past of the movie Knuckleball. And we learned a lot about not just the pitch, but the actual people who throw the knuckleball pitch. And it becomes quite a bit of a fraternity. What's cool is that Ryan is a part of that fraternity. As a knuckleballer, we wanted to find out a little bit what that experience was like learning it. And since he's a coach, what is it like trying to teach that to young kids coming up so that they can use it in a game just like he does?
Yeah, so that is a very good documentary. I do kind of have my own brand that's in the mix there. I have Knuckleball Union. I'm just a big fan of teaching all the dynamics of it. So, but I will not teach it to my my players that are at a certain age. I know it's something you gotta learn when you're young, man. It's something that you have to do when you're a young kid and have your pitch, have your grip, have your feeling. So, my fastball is at times mid to high 8s. Like my fastball is around there. I don't utilize it as much. I mean, I will if I do, see all right, I do blow by him. Let me try to jam a bat or break something. And, I throw a knuckle drop. So if you take the baseball and you put it on the seam of the horseshoe of it riding up like a 2-seam fastball, I dig on top, I come underneath, hold this on the right side. Now, when I do that, I create a 12-6 movement. So if you have a normal 12-6 drop and it's coming down late, very similar to Matt Barnes. If you ever seen Matt Barnes pitch, he throws a knuckle curve, but it has that same 12-6 movement. So what I do is I try to have it start at a starting point like my catcher's head, and I can throw the thing as hard as I can. I can throw the thing as light as I can. Create that downward movement. That's something I consider my pro pitch. I've been throwing that since I was probably 14 years old when I actually first started pitching in collegiate baseball. And I realized I could throw it. I'm like, okay, so I can only throw a true knuckleball with a 0 spin radius, or at least 1 or 2, from a 3/4 slot or a sidearm. But my knuckle drop gets all that movement from up top. So I continued that. I used to just have a catch with it. And I never really started throwing it in a game until I became a pitcher in professional baseball. So I've had it for years. I've had it. It's been there. It's just a time of when it was going to come out. But as for the youth guys, you know, I would teach it around a certain age, probably around 14, 15, because at that point they'll learn how to develop a curveball. So they'll know how their mechanics are, how their elbow works, how their shoulders work, and their lateral movement and everything. And I'd say, like, look, if a curveball's not working for you, let's try something a little different. And, you know, it's got almost the same movement. Sometimes I don't know where it's going and it moves like a curveball, or it bucks into a right-handed batter. And I'm like, well, why the hell is it doing this today? And then I realize my arm slot might be too high, or it might not be strict over the top. And that's why it does that. So I adjust it as I go. But that's me, personal experience. Youth-wise, yeah, just around 14, 15. If they're not feeling it for a curveball, I try something different with that. Keep them comfortable with it. I have like guys who are playing in men's leagues who are like 30, you know, upper 20s. They're messaging me, hey, how do you throw us? How do you throw us? I'm like, it's going to take you a while, but, you know, find your grip, find your comfortability, have a catch with it. Have a catch with it until you can learn how to pitch it in the game. And sometimes that takes months. Sometimes that takes weeks or years, but once you get it down, man, it's pretty solid.
Or if you got a great dog that you can play catch with, like you do, man. I see, dog. Aren't you playing catch with your dog? That's pretty cool,
dude. That's pretty cool. It's incredible because I always wanted a dog that, you know, wanted to, you know, play baseball, have a tennis ball catch or something. But man, I could freaking whip that thing, I think, close to 50 miles an hour, and she'll catch it. Yeah. And there are times where I'm like, all right, I want to work on a knuckleball grip of my tennis ball to get that arc. And she'll go to the end of the yard. I'm like, all right, get down, catch her. She'll get down, and I'll just throw that arc. I'll throw it. I'll replicate it. She comes back, drops the ball, go to the other side. And to be honest, without my brother there as a throwing partner, she's just a throwing partner that doesn't throw back. And, you know, that's it's incredible she does that. I'm surprised her jaw doesn't hurt, but
yeah,
morning to do it. So
that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. What it is.
For our final question for Ryan, we wanted to find out something that was a little more personal. And it seems like a no-brainer because there's probably a million cool things about being a ball player. But we wanted to know, what was the coolest experience he's had so far as a baseball player? And his answer was pretty cool too.
So far. Man. Just the coolest thing is getting a call. I think it's because, like, so I was in a few spring trainings as an outfielder in 2018 when I graduated college. And when I got that first call that I was going to get a pro contract, I'm like, this is like absolutely insane. Like, you know, I was actually working in event staff for college for a soccer game. It was pouring rain, and I sat down, I bawled out crying, and I said, this is an incredible feeling. I want this. So that means I want another one. And after I pitched with the Salina Stockade down in Houston, and I got the call to go to the Liberation, and there are guys who are in single A there. There are guys who are in the Pacific, the Frontier, the Pecos. I'm like, you know, holy crap, this is like, you know, basically a single A bubble. And for me to get a call to go up there to pitch for the Dogecoin, I was ecstatic. I'm like, this is one of those opportunities, but now I'm prepared for it because I've had it before, and I just want a little taste of it. And the coolest thing is getting that phone call.
We were glad to sit down with Ryan Osborne, also known as Ozzy Nux, and we wanted to find out all that we could about him, and he was very candid, and we appreciated his time to be our first guest on Inside the Ballpark. And don't forget, you can reach him on social media. What is that information again, Ryan?
I'm Ozzy Nux. You know, I got that knuckle drop with me for years, so might as well, you know, make my name for it. So it's OZZY KNUX, Ozzy Nux. Anyone else want to check it out? You know, I love to answer my DMs if anybody has any questions. I'm a big believer in talking baseball with anybody, you know, and that's what I really appreciate about you guys. You guys have a great thing going. I love to follow you guys on Facebook and Instagram. I love the map. You guys do a great thing for the baseball community, and it's something I wish I had when I was like kind of growing up, so I could learn more about professional baseball and everything. And you know, you guys are doing a really great thing, and I'm like honored to be on here, man. And you know, I appreciate you guys a whole lot.